Thanks to Yellowstone's enormous success, Kevin Costner has led the way in the contemporary revival of Western-set storytelling, demonstrating the genre's continued potential for wide market appeal. Although Costner's involvement with the series may have come to an end, he is returning to the director's chair with the two-part epic Horizon, an American Saga, which will have its world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival this year. Let Him Go, an underappreciated 2020 Western thriller, showcases Costner's unusual status as both an iconic Western and an unmatched movie star. Although the film begins as a conventional Western dad movie, its unexpected turn toward extreme violence revealed that Costner was prepared to modify traditional material to fit the times. Let Him Go gives the feeling of real family tragedy. Let Him Go is set in rural Montana in the 1960s and is based on author Larry Watson's critically praised 2013 novel of the same name. Although the film Let Him Go doesn't explicitly allude to current political events, it does imply that the small village it is set in is very much off the grid. This region practices frontier justice since it is outside the purview of civic society, which is ideal for retired Sheriff George Blackledge, Costner. He does not anticipate being called back into battle anytime soon, so he is pleased to take care of his wife, Margaret, Diane Lane, and their ranch. In addition, George is recuperating from his son's death in a horse accident. Since there was nothing George could have done to prevent it, it's the kind of regrettable, unplanned disaster that all fathers dread. The film's director, Thomas Bezucha, does a fantastic job of illustrating early on how big of a catastrophe hangs over George and Margaret's heads. While the experience might have infuriated some guys, George has no one to vent his resentment towards. He is unable to place the blame on either his young widow Lorana, Kaylee Carter, or his son. He currently basically has a general sense of dejection and goes about his everyday activities without much enthusiasm. Costner gives an amazing portrayal, hinting at the fact that George struggles with depression but never coming right out and saying it. George has avoided Lorna since he finds that any thoughts of his son bring back the memory of what he had lost. Despite his fondness for his son's younger wife, George effectively cut ties with her when she remarried rancher Donnie Weeboy, Will Britton. Claiming that Jimmy, Otto and Bram Hornung, the kid of Lorna and Donnie's, isn't truly his kin, can help George get over the painful loss of his son. He is, however, compelled to return to family politics after Margaret witnesses Donnie physically beating Jimmy and Lorna. There's a radical turn in Let Him Go. The delicate closeness of these familial interactions is what makes the first section of Let Him Go so lovely. Let Him Go wouldn't even feel like a genre film if George's occupation hadn't been made public. Nevertheless, once George and Margaret start looking for Jimmy in the second part of the movie, things drastically change. Donnie is now a member of the Weeboy family, and they have no intention of giving him up to please the Blackledges. When George and Margaret meet Blanche, Leslie Manville, Jimmy's other grandma, Let Him Go, takes an unexpected turn. Blanche is undoubtedly the unofficial head of her family, and she raises her children in a totally different manner than George does. Blanche treats her other boys, Elton, Connor McKay, and Marvin, Adam Stafford, like soldiers under her authority. Their very contrasting values are evident in their first exchange with George. George only wants his family to be happy, thus he doesn't necessarily take pleasure in his family name. To make sure Jimmy stays a wee boy for the rest of his life, Blanche is prepared to battle and even breach the law. That in itself is enough to make George and Margaret quite uncomfortable. Blanche will make Jimmy into just another one of her drones if they don't take action.